New Beer Thursday! Woo! And we're going to Wisconsin today.
Yep.
Courtesy of David Mast. Mm-hmm. Who?
David Mast.
Yes.
Who is not John Ryti, who's here
Who's
with
not
us.
John Ryti, no. He is not the Temecula Beer Ambassador. John Ryti is, however.
Yeah.
And back again.
Yes.
How's Temecula?
It's hot and sweaty, just like the rest of the IE.
Yeah, it sucks right now.
But we don't have rain.
Now, we have John on because he brought up a bunch of Wisconsin New Glarus beers as well. But then we realized it was probably a bad idea for us to do 15 beers on the show. So we picked the two best ones. And that's what we're doing. Yeah. And we're going to start off with some Serendipity. Which is
serendipitous.
All right.
That's a quote like 3 people are going to be like, that thing.
That one thing that I know about that everyone else doesn't. Yeah, no, this beer is a result of the failed cherry crop in Wisconsin.
You can read all about it online.
Online, yes.
It's a novel.
So what they did was they went out and they got other Wisconsin fruits, such as apples and cranberries. And they produced this sour beer.
Oh my God.
That has cherries,
Wonderful,
apples, and cranberries in it. And they liked it so much they thought it was serendipitous.
Woo.
Cheers to serendipity.
Steve, you haven't cheersed me in the last 3 episodes.
There you go.
Damn it.
I wanted to see how far I could go. That's an interesting aroma.
Big, like fruity.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like literal
Massive,
fruit.
this is like candy apple.
Pie.
Kind of cherryish.
A lot of sugar on the aroma.
Oh man.
Sweetness.
You get some of that brown sugar kind of.
Yeah, I was going to say,
There's-
it's like
That's
crust.
the caramel. Yeah, like the caramel apple.
Yeah, there's like a crust that I'm getting almost, like a cinnamon kind of.
I think caramel is more accurate. And then, this is awesome. Wow.
I just love the fact it's not super syrupy.
No, it's
Okay.
not. It's fairly dry as for how sweet it is.
It's got it's sweet, but it's also got acidity to it, which like brightens it up.
Yeah, there you
Makes
go.
it kind of
Okay, so everybody knows that I hate apple in beer. I think we've made that perfectly clear on the show.
We don't need to dwell on that anymore.
At least you have.
However, when I drink this beer, the flavors that I'm getting, the fruity flavors I'm getting are more of the cranberry, more of the cherry, but I'm getting
Right.
the apple sweetness, which I really like. I'm not getting like the apple, like the tartness of the apple. I'm getting the tartness of the cranberry, but the sweetness, the sweet apple juice, like the sweet flavor of the juice, that's coming through. It's giving it a nice, really thick, sweet body to it that I really like. And I have to say, if you're going to do apples in beer, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, this is just jam-packed full of...
It's got a lot of going on.
There's so much. It's very
nice.
It's apple, but it's not like acetaldehyde,
Right.
Granny Smith.
It's not the we
weirdness,
didn't
you
ferment our beer properly.
Yeah,
apple.
exactly.
It's
It doesn't
the-
taste like apple flaw apple. You know?
Right.
Yeah, it's got that tartness. The tartness it gives off is just perfect. for what this
It's
is.
not super sour or super tart. It's
Well, and I wouldn't even classify this as being sour in the least. It's got a nice little tart finish, but I wouldn't get any sour. Like the sweetness on this just so overwhelms the sour aspect to it that you get a bit of the tartness, but you're not getting any of that pucker.
The tartness is kind of just hanging out in the middle of my tongue. It's not really biting the sides as much as I think.
I get
might be conveying.
I get a lot more in like the middle and in the back. I'm especially getting it right in the back, like the very tail end of the back third.
Yeah.
It's kind of like.
But again, it's more of the same kind of tartness you'd get from drinking a juice than it is that you would get
Exactly.
from what you
That's a
expect
good
from
way to put it.
sour.
That's a good way to
good
put
call.
it.
Yeah.
that's a good call.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
this is
This
delicious.
is a fantastic beer. Yeah, I'm really, really, really shocked by this beer, actually. So
Why are you shocked? It's New Glarus, buddy.
Well, I'm more shocked because I've never had anything like it. Like,
yeah, this is I think that's a very correct statement.
True.
This is it's such a unique experience that, frankly, and not to sound, elitist, but that's really hard to find.
well, it is.
That unique experience when you're drinking a beer.
Stephen Johnson.
Well, I mean,
he's had all the.
I've had all the beers
yeah, we get
yesterday.
We get what you're saying. It's
But I mean, when you've done this as long as we have, it's like you drank so many beers and so many different styles, and it's like you think about like, okay, well, what can anybody do at this point?
Yeah, exactly.
Here? And it's like, here comes this.
But this is
There's always a level of familiarity, but this is really kind of off the wall. But it's not off the wall like weird off the wall. I mean, there are some beers you have. You're
Right.
like, why did you
It's
put
Vans
that in
off the
there?
wall. It's not, crazy homeless guy off the wall.
okay.
Sure.
The other nice thing is it's a departure from a lot of the other fruit beers out there, which are very, very fruit heavy.
Yeah.
Well, this is definitely fruit heavy, but in a
but like you said, it's a drier fruit versus a big, very syrupy fruit beer.
You're not. It's not like a Sea Dog blueberry wheat kind of thing. It's an actual beer with all these complex flavors that add to this perfect experience.
And speaking of complex flavors joining forces to create perfect experiences, we're going to send you off to a Master Pairings where something like that might happen.
Probably will.
Yeah.
Most likely.
All right.
Well done.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Master Pairing with me, your host, Bill Sisek. I have Stephen Johnson here from New Brew Thursday. Today, Stephen, we are going south of the border.
South of the border.
I've got
Fun fact, I've never had a tamale. Ever.
Perfect.
In my entire life.
We will pop
I
your
grew up
cherry
in I grew
today.
up in Southern California and I've never had a tamale.
So, tamales are wrapped in corn husk. They use a corn meal. Basically, it's a little corn
Sounds
biscuit
like a lot of
almost with a surprise inside. In this case, it's going to be some pork.
Okay.
Sometimes they do sweet tamales.
So this tamale is going to pork meat.
Yeah, so it's a special recipe for the dough, which is the corn, which is the maize, and for the tamale, and they put something inside. Usually you do it with a red sauce. There's also some sour cream there. Perfect pairing with this, the Vienna Lager, believe it or not. How does Mexico and Vienna, Austria, what do they have in common? Well, I'll tell you. You can't find very many Vienna Lagers here in America that are from Vienna.
Right.
You can find a ton from Mexico. That's because most of the early brewing traditions in Mexico, when they brought in lagers, were from German and Austrian brewers that moved there.
Right.
And this was over the last few hundred years. So there's a lot of great, or what people would consider great Vienna lagers.
Why don't you explain what a Vienna Lager is?
So Vienna Lager is just a lager with a certain malt base. Originally, there was what they called the Golden Triangle. The Golden Triangle was Pilsner, Czechoslovakia, which is now Bohemia, or Pilsen, excuse me. There was Munich, Germany, which was in Bavaria, and there was Vienna in Austria. And those were considered the Renaissance areas for brewing lager-style beers. It's where the Pilsner came about. Of course, Munich came up with, their own version of a Pilsner. Dunkel, Helles, Schwarzbier, Oktoberfest, or Märzen. Then the Viennese had their own version, and it was quite subtle, nice caramel malt characteristics, and that's the Vienna Lager. Okay. So you get you've had Vienna Lager before, believe it or not. You've had
Negro
Modelo, Noche Bueno, stuff like that.
This specific one that we're doing is from Oregon, and it's an homage to the south of the border Vienna Lager.
This is Gigantic Brewing out of Portland, Oregon. This is their dark metal lager, dark metal beer, they just call it. So let's give this a shot.
All right,
Gigantic's doing a lot of fun things. Portland's revitalizing their whole brew scene. Great nose, classic.
And again, like we've talked about before, it's very subtle.
And by classic, yes, very subtle. I mean, has that nice, slightly toasted malt characteristic and nice spices all across the palate, but very gentle.
The difference with these
almost marzipan-y, but not really almondy, but has that kind of nuance of like you would find in certain sweets.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. Is a big difference between this and like an amber beer is you're going to get more nut characteristic off of an amber beer. These you're going to get more of a spice characteristic. The lager, that's going to be a much cleaner profile because of the lager
I can see that. But just a really great subtle lager, really well done, Gigantic.
Yeah.
As I was saying, Portland for years was definitely beer capital of the world. Now San Diego's kind of taking that claim with the exciting new breweries. But what Portland's done...
You just started a firefight all over the United States right now.
What Portland's done... Now, Portland still holds some very important things. In fact, that they have per capita, they have more people that drink craft beer. There's more taps per capita than any other place in the United States. Higher percentage of craft versus macro beer taps. But, they didn't have a revitalization of a lot of new exciting breweries. But over the last 5 years, they have.
Right.
Ones like Upright, Cascades really brought it up a notch, even though they've been around for a long time. Gigantic breweries like this that are really just
it's starting.
revitalizing.
It's starting to become a situation where when you think of Oregon, you don't automatically think of Deschutes or Rogue or those other breweries that have been around forever. Not to say that there's anything wrong with those breweries, but we're starting to see more interesting, kind of smaller,
A new
upstart,
wave.
new wave of breweries coming out where you get a different sense of what's happening in Portland now.
So let's have you try the tamale. I would say just take off half of that and throw it on your plate, or you can just cut it from the big plate.
I'm just going to take a little piece because I haven't committed to
You're
this.
a little afraid.
I'm a little afraid. I haven't committed to this yet.
Okay.
I need some sour cream because I'm white.
You know it's going to make a mess. Okay. This one actually has some potato and tomatoes, which I don't usually see.
This is tasty.
Great. The corn really plays a heavy role in this, obviously.
Because here's my thing. Unless it's bacon, not a big fan of pork.
That's crazy, by the way.
It is, and I don't know what it is. It's just a thing.
Do you like pig ears?
No. And
Trotters?
the mule has been trying to get me to do a Schweinehaxen for a while, and I just won't do it. Partly because I can't find any, but this is really good though. This is delicious.
You don't do
Oh wow, that works so well.
pork carnitas?
Carne asada, always.
Wow. Well, that's tale to be learned here, people.
Pulled pork? You don't do pulled pork?
I enjoy pulled pork.
Beechwood?
Yeah, no, their pulled pork sandwich is good. Beechwood, John is talking about Beechwood barbecue. It's very tasty.
Back ribs?
I'm not saying I won't eat pork. It's just not my go-to thing.
Honey baked ham?
No, I hate ham. Ham of all flavors I cannot stand.
All right.
That and Canadian bacon. Ew.
I will make a statement now, everybody. Thank you, Stephen, for being on the show. He will never be on the show again for a pork-based show.
That's unfair because you're introducing me to something I like.
Although that's true, I have definitely tricked Stephen.
You've changed my mind on a lot of
I've tricked Stephen
things.
many times.
And I will. I'll fully
montage of all the times I've tricked him.
I'll
on the show.
fully admit that most of my anti-food viewpoints come from my childhood and have not been re-examined. And I should re-examine them. I've just been lazy and haven't. So,
Fair enough.
but this is delicious. This works really well with this beer. I think this the spicy characteristics of this, and I think the pork characteristics of this bring out a lot of the spicy notes of this. The clean finish of the lager style that this has really helps just wash the palate.
Well, it subdues the heat from the red sauce also, and plays really well. Really lets the maize shine. Just a perfect pairing. Obviously, if you're in Mexico, and you're having tamales, nothing better than grabbing a classic Vienna Lager style beer.
Now, let me ask you this.
Stay away from Pacifico, Corona, those beers.
Right,
Go for
but what
something
about
with some
Negro
flavor.
Modelo?
Yes, that's a
legitimate beer?
Well,
Because it gets really good distribution, and I think sometimes it gets washed into the kind of gross mass-produced beers of Mexico. But I don't have a problem with Negro Modelo myself.
it has more flavor, and that's the only reason why. It still falls into that. It's still owned by big macro corporations, but they just haven't removed the flavor. And because lagers are so subtle, they don't have a lot to do with it as far as adjusting the flavor profile. What I would say is, if you're in a place and you want a beer and that's all they have is those kind of beers, you're going to drink a beer.
Negro Modelo is your best choice.
But if you have the opportunity where you can substitute in a great craft Vienna Lager and get more of
Well, and I will
it's
say
supposed
this.
to taste like, go for it.
The last couple of years, we've seen a really huge surge in craft beer in Mexico. A lot of Mexican craft breweries popping up. It's actually something I really want to go down there and explore some of those craft breweries because there's some really kick-ass stuff going on down there. And I'd like to see what they're doing.
We'll have a Kickstarter fund started for Steven's ransom. We'll let you know when we need that.
It's fine. Just let them behead me. I've lived a good life. I have no regrets.
No, Mexico's great, but...
Yes. Anyway, this was fantastic. I enjoyed this very much. I'm glad I got to try my tamales.
I'm glad you tried your first tamale. All right, get on that tamale train.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Welcome back. How was your Master Pairings experience?
Masterful.
Is it in your face?
It's masterful.
So now we're going to go down
I feel properly paired.
Well played.
What do you pair John Holzer with?
Awesomeness.
Too bad
Grilled meats.
It's, yeah,
Grilled small cats.
grilled red meats
and spicy curry.
and spicy. Oh my! Depends on if he's been eating a lot of pineapple recently.
Riesling.
Anyway, so we're gonna be jumping into the strawberry rhubarb, which this is an interesting beer. They're
Holy moly, that's a loud vibration.
Matt, your wife is calling. Dear God, with you and your phone, with you and your phone every goddamn week.
Can you guys hear that?
Jesus.
I think the neighbors could hear that.
I'm not even.
Did you bring a vibrator over?
Matt's dildo is going off right now, so.
It's a dildo that just happens to go off on its own.
And it was getting higher and higher pitched, like it was gonna blow up or something.
Well, it was a woman calling him.
It was reaching critical mass. That's so sexist.
It is. I apologize for that. Anyway, getting back to this beer, strawberry rhubarb. This is a lot of. There's going to be some like sweet strawberries mixed in with the sour rhubarb. Cheers to crazy pie beers.
Fucking new Glarus, man.
Strawberry.
Oh Jesus.
It smells like candy to me.
It's like a strawberry candy.
Yeah, it really is.
This is very okay. So. As you know, we do a show called MBT Brewing as well, which is an audio show that's focused on home brewing that they occasionally let me be on, but sometimes they tell me to go GTFO. We recently did a show with Brian Myron, who brought his home brew, and he did a strawberry rhubarb, and the aroma on these are remarkably similar. So kudos to him.
Brian,
smell like strawberry.
Brian was on the show last week.
Yeah.
So. I since his was the most recent strawberry rhubarb beer that I've had.
The most recent, because
If not, well, this is the second.
If not the only one.
His was like a Berliner Weiss that was and I gotta say, we'll talk about it on that show, but this is very similar on. I mean, it's almost spot on with the aroma.
The aroma,
strawberry is just in your face. His had that tartness you get from a Berliner Weiss. This doesn't quite have that tartness, and especially on the taste too. It's all about strawberries.
You know what it's like, Matt? It's like have you ever had a strawberry Laffy Taffy?
I have. Well done.
No, that is I'm getting that too.
But it's like what you would want that to be.
Exactly.
What do you think the base style of this beer though is? Like John said that Brian's was a
Berliner Weiss.
Berliner Weiss. What do you think this is? Like a Belgian pale, maybe?
No, I'd say like a borderline.
I would say
like a golden ale.
A Belgian of some
Belgian
kind,
golden, Belgian pale,
maybe,
something in that realm?
like that. It's
Low on the hops, high on the.
Yeah, low on the hops, high on the malt. I mean, I would guess, base malt, some crystal in there.
At this point, you can't
Besides
really
that-
tell. I mean, you get some maltiness, some kind of slickness from the beer that is in here.
Yeah.
Like it's got a perfect mouthfeel.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say slickness. That sounds negative. It's
Sick Rick.
it's kind of slick though.
It's
Yeah,
unctuous.
I would say that the base for this was designed to showcase the fruit that they were adding.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I would doubt that there was much going on there.
Mostly just gonna bring out some bready qualities to it and tone down the sourness of the rhubarb.
Just to give it a little bit of backbone.
This
Right.
is so.
Something to balance out the
This
fruit
is so
character.
strawberry for it. I just felt the inside of my mouth for strawberry seeds. You know how you eat strawberry? I swear
this
I just
does.
did
And,
that.
I mean, if you've never had rhubarb, don't pour it all out because we have somebody else that needs some.
Oh, that's true.
So, I mean, if you've never had rhubarb, then you're probably not going to grasp the
wonderful.
rhubarb flavor off this because it is really
delicious.
subtle.
But it is there.
It is there, but it's you
the
have to
tartness
really
for the
know
rhubarb is
rhubarb
there,
to get
but-
it. So
I was gonna say I'm not gonna lie, I'm not real familiar with rhubarb.
right. So I mean, this is really a beer for the Midwest.
The rhubarb is a Midwest thing.
because that is it's a weed in the Midwest.
That's what I understand.
So-
It's like a plague.
Yeah.
I really want to make me a strawberry rhubarb pie.
I gotta say though, since we're talking about the tartness that you get from rhubarb, going back to Brian's beer, which this works out great because you could listen to that show. I think it's going to come out after this show, and you can kind of see what we're talking about here. The Berliner Weiss aspect of it really kind of amped it up. It gave you that
For sure.
that tart kick, That kind of it just finished everything perfect.
The tartness of that beer played the rhubarb way up.
Yeah.
Which I think actually was a benefit because I think
yeah.
not to say anything negative about this beer is fantastic.
It's
but
just
I would say
different.
that Brian's beer to me was a little bit more complex in the flavor profile just because it did the strawberry and the rhubarb played a little bit better together. Mostly because of the Blitterweiss qualities
But
to
this
it.
is like a total strawberry masterpiece
Yeah.
of a beer. Like it's just.
Yeah, no, this is
I'm
definitely
not familiar with
this definitely
rhubarb
works.
either, but I mean, if that's what's lending the tartness, then it's a good amount of tartness that
Right
is
on.
coming through.
And then once again, it's not overly syrupy or super.
Yeah, it's got some malt to it, but it's not
Yeah.
it's not crazy dry. It's got a little bit of brightness
once you-
from the acidity from the fruit.
Once you sip on it for a bit, the strawberry kind of steps out of the way a little bit, and you start to get that base beer coming
Yep.
through.
Yeah.
But the initial shock of the
And
strawberry.
I definitely
wonderful,
think
though.
that
Yeah.
as this warms up, the rhubarb's going to play more of a part in it as well.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get there. It's so
I know it is. It's very drinkable.
Yeah.
New
so-
Glarus is just a.
killing it.
They're monsters with whatever
The-
they brew. They just
and the-
do everything.
The best part
exactly.
is 4%.
No way.
I believe so. I believe both beers came in at 4%.
Right on. That explains why I'm not at least bit drunk.
Perfect.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
at
It's
all.
so weird by the end of Liquor Thursday.
Yeah.
So, John, tell people where they can find you.
They can find me on Facebook at Temecula's Beer Ambassador, on Twitter at Tem Beer Ambassador.
No,
That's the worst beer name.
you
on
are
Twitter
at
ever.
Tim Ambassador.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Ambassador, yeah, we've
God,
had
I
this
can't even
conversation.
remember my.
It's all right.
Yeah.
You're limited on Twitter.
Thank God you guys are here.
Yes. So follow him if you have any interest in the Temecula beer scene, and you should because it's kind of cool, and it's actually becoming a spot that's worthy of travel.
It's coming up.
It is
It's coming up quick. Yeah.
And by the end of the year, we will have another brew pub open.
Yeah.
CUP just got approved, or is getting approved for our 7th production brewery.
Nice. Very nice.
Right on.
And events that we're going to be at soon. I think after this show. No, this is going to come out after the Ultimate Acid trip, so we're done with
Well,
that.
this weekend is the Brew Ha Ha.
The Brew Ha Ha is where we'll be. We'll be doing trivia. Come find us on a stage. We'll be giving out tickets to Brew Ha Ha as well. And after that is the LA Beer Week. So
September 22nd, and the thing at Union Station is the opening gala.
yeah, it's the opening
opening
gala.
gala.
Yeah.
So that,
Normally it's the closing, but this year it's
that's
the
limited
opening.
to 600 tickets, and I'm not sure if they'll still be available at this time, but they're putting
Yeah.
it indoors now, so it's not so
If
hot.
if you can get tickets for it, get them because the LA beer scene is another one that's really starting to show its
Absolutely.
Spreading its wings.
Yeah. So anyway, as always, thank you for joining us, and until next week, stay safe and drink beer.
Cheers.